Hello, friends. We all appreciate a beautiful pair of shoes, don't we? But imagine a little girl named Karen, whose love for dazzling footwear was so intense, it bordered on obsession. Even though she came from very little, those desires were mighty. Karen lived a hard life, where necessities always came before luxuries. Yet every spare moment was spent dreaming of the sparkle and glamour that a perfect pair of shoes represented to her. Then, one day, amidst her poverty, Karen found them. A stunning pair of rich red shoes. They were perhaps too bright, too proud. But to Karen, they were perfection. Her loving mother, seeing the glint of vanity in Karen's eyes, issued a solemn warning. A plea for practicality and humility. But fate is often cruel. Not long after, sorrow descended upon their small home. Karen's mother passed away, leaving the girl alone with her grief. In her deepest sadness, the vanity that lay dormant resurfaced. She remembered her mother's warning, but the pull of those shiny red shoes was too strong. And so, Karen broke her promise. In the very moment she should have shown respect and humility, she chose pride, wearing the bright, defiant red shoes to her own mother's funeral. Mercifully, Karen was not left alone. A kind, elderly woman, gentle and wealthy, took Karen in, offering her a sanctuary and a chance at a wonderful new life. Karen now had everything she could need: comfort, security, and guidance. But as she grew older, another trait grew alongside her: stubbornness. To be stubborn means to want your own way, regardless of wisdom or advice. It is a refusal to listen, even when those who love you know better. Eventually, it was time for new shoes, a simple outing that would quickly turn into a trial of wills. They went to the village cobbler. Eventually, it was time for new shoes, a simple outing that would quickly turn into a trial of wills. They went to the village cobbler. And there they were, super sparkly, fiery, engine red shoes. Just like the pair before, but perhaps even more appealing to her grown-up vanity.
The kind old woman knew what was best. "We should get practical black shoes, dear," she advised. "They are sensible, and we only have enough money for one necessary pair."
But stubbornness meant deaf ears. The girl stamped her foot and insisted she just had to have the red shoes, prioritizing her fleeting desire over all sense and budget. Her insistence won. The old woman spent all her savings on the bright red shoes. This meant she herself, in pain, had to walk the long journey home. The next day was a church service. Knowing Karen's weakness, the old woman issued a strict, final decree. Do not wear those silly red shoes. Respect the house of God. But did Karen listen? Of course not. That deep-seated stubbornness compelled her to deceive the woman who loved her. She hid the red shoes and put them on anyway. Wearing the forbidden shoes, Karen entered the churchyard. It was this step, this act of willful defiance, that opened the door to the terrible consequences of her vanity. Suddenly, an old soldier appeared. His face was weather-beaten and strange. He looked right at the shoes on Karen's feet. Leaning in, the soldier whispered a curse, a strange wish directed not at Karen, but at the shoes themselves. Be as stubborn as your mistress and dance. Karen tried to take a single, graceful step, but the moment her foot touched the ground, the shoes came alive. They jerked her forward, twirling her uncontrollably. She couldn't stop. The shoes were a mirror of her own wicked will, forcing her to move. They dragged her away from the church, away from safety, away from the old woman. The magical red shoes pulled her relentlessly, through thorns, over rough mountains, and across cold rivers. Karen was exhausted, starving, and her feet ached terribly. Finally, The terrible truth sank in. This entire agony, this endless torment, was the direct result of her selfishness. She hadn't listened. She had been stubborn. When the shoes momentarily paused, Karen used her last strength to pray. She begged for forgiveness, promising the heavens she would change and never be stubborn again. The old soldier reappeared, seeing genuine repentance in her tearful eyes. Her lesson was truly learned. And with a sudden flash, poof! The magical red shoes vanished forever. Karen returned home, welcomed back by the kind old woman. She was now a changed girl, kind, obedient, and helpful. She never forgot the value of listening to the love that guides you.